Thanks for tuning in to Totally Not a Podcast, our new weekly show where we review each and every new Dragon Ball Daima episode.
Time to play the game!
Okay, hang on. Before we say fucking anything, I really do have to just address the fact that you just used Triple H's theme, which is definitely copyrighted. And anyone who doesn't watch the WWE will be like, what was that? So, for anyone who
That's
doesn't know,
not true.
Really? What's that? What else is that song used for?
That's like a meme song. Everybody knows that song at this point. AJ, you know,
Okay,
it's
wait,
the song
wait.
that's like, it's time to play the game. It's time to play the game.
To be fair, I've never heard that like originally.
original?
I've only ever heard that guy on TikTok sing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never have attached it to WWE because I have not watched WWE since it was called WWF. But
Yeah.
to me, it's just the guy with the funny high voice who screams it on TikTok.
I've quite literally not heard this meme, so that is as random as someone taking some random theme song from any show. Like it's like you playing the Beyblades theme song. It's just completely non sequitur random to me. Actually, that's more of a connection because that's an anime. Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to cue us up for some fighting because last week we had some really good bouts and I was ready for a potential round 2.
Well, look, let's start for real and first say welcome to Totally Not a Podcast, episode 14. We've been doing this for so long now, and we've only got 6 episodes left. Now 100% confirmed. I know it was sort of vaguely up in the air for a little bit, and then we had like a nebulous comment from like a Toei producer in Latin America, and then finally Hulu decided to accidentally drop on their schedule Dragon Ball Daima finale, February 28th, episode 20.
Yep.
And then when that started going viral, they went into panic mode and took it off the site. But yeah, I mean, that lines up with everything. Yeah, we're in the final stretch now. So this episode, I would be interested to hear your thoughts, given you were all very, very, very fucking negative last week, and I had to fight for my life. Let me be clear as well that I was also 100% correct that like the chat was with me during the live stream, and then I was literally fighting for my life in the comment section when the the edited version went up. That was fun.
Your mistake is to ever look at the comment section, man. There you go.
Well, I had to. You started it. You ignited the fire. Not just with your opinions last week, but also when you tweeted it out, when you said you were yelling at me for being wrong, and not only that, you then went and jumped into the comment section of that upload.
Did I?
And called me wrong again.
Oh, okay. That was a joke. Like, obviously,
Maybe you shouldn't have been wrong. Did you think about that?
I don't think I even read your comment. To be fair, I just saw that you tweeted or wrote something. I was like, oh, he's wrong. He's got to be wrong on this. So I guess apologies.
What were your overall thoughts then on this episode compared to last week's and compared to the show as a whole? Because I have some thoughts on this, but I'm curious to know where you two stand as two
very excited to hear Mark
opposite
of the
spectrum.
Why are you excited to hear my thoughts on this specifically, Tyson?
Well, because I know how I feel, and I'm pretty sure I know how AJ feels. But you're kind of the like rogue lone wolf that could go either way or have some interesting take. So I'm excited to hear it.
So I was having a conversation with AJ today, and maybe this will kind of set the stage for my feelings today, at least, because I can only really because my impression of Daima changes like the wind. So today I was having a conversation with AJ in DMs, and to put it into perspective, I said I hadn't even watched the episode yet, and I watched it for this podcast. Mm-hmm. Usually, if I'm really hyped for something, I'll watch it like the hour it uploads, and that has been the case for pretty much every episode up until now. Maybe bar 1 or 2, but that was due to scheduling issues. It wasn't down to any kind of like disinterest. And it's not to say that I'm like super disinterested in the series. It's just I think it's failed to. And I don't know if I don't even know if fail is the right word. I think it's failed to capture my, I suppose, attention. I expect it to be more tense, more interested in, this, segue to the final act than I currently am. And I don't know if that's to be laid at the feet of pacing issues, which we discussed at length last week. But like, I mean, I know AJ loved last week's episode, and that's totally it makes sense based on what AJ likes and what many other people like. A lot of people liked last week's episode too, but for someone that didn't like that episode, all it did was serve as like a big, okay, wait, but this, okay, now we're going here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's to blame for a lot of this, or if it's sort of like a symptom of qualities that make up that episode finding footing in other episodes earlier on in this series. But there's just I suppose a lack of I don't want to say enthusiasm, because I'm always going to be interested in things that are Dragon Ball related, but when it came to watching this episode, I didn't feel compelled to watch it on the day, and I had spare time over the weekend and I didn't watch it, and I watched it today simply because I needed to, which isn't a good headspace to be watching something in. So
break the news to us. What did you think of it? I feel like you were about to come out. It was fine.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah. That was
okay.
largely where I was with it. Like it was fine.
I enjoyed it more than last week because it had
a low bar, to be sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed it more than last week, but this is very much obviously the big segue into the final act. Next week's episode is going to be, we're in it, we're doing it, the thing is happening, and it doesn't feel like a segue to a final act that I've ever seen from Dragon Ball, at least not one that I've been interested in. So I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think.
I started where Mark is, where I think this episode is probably the least excited I've ever been for an episode going into it. Just because the last few episodes, not even just the giant people one, but even some of the like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta stuff, I don't know. The last few episodes have really been kind of deflationary for me.
Yeah.
So I definitely really didn't go in particularly excited. But I came out not only really enjoying this episode, but I came out a lot more excited for the final 5 episodes than I was before now, which I think is obviously a good thing. I think overall, I really liked this episode. It wasn't like a top 5 to me. I think, it might almost be maybe like 6th or 7th favorite episode for me. I thought it was great.
For me, I went into it with like no real expectations, really. Like I really liked last week's episode, so I wasn't going into this, deflated or anything like you two were. But I just thought it was fine. Like it was well put together. It was obviously very low key. I think just like if I was doing rankings, it would probably be in my bottom 5, but not because it's bad or that any of them are like outright bad in my bottom 5. It's just it's uneventful and there's not huge enthusiasm to it. And I think that's a key thing for me with this show, which I've been thinking about and talking on the subject with people for the past couple of days about Daima's excitement, what it excels at and what it's been really failing at. And I think one thing we've been fairly unanimous on for these past 15 weeks with the break, is that Daima has so much that feels authentically Dragon Ball, from its comedy to its character work to just so much of the world feels very authentically Toriyama, and it's been great. But I think one thing that it has continually failed at is to bring a sense of excitement for an episode to end and for us to go, oh my God, I have to wait a week. Like I can think of that. Yeah. I can think of that feeling once, which was at the end of episode
7.
I guess twice then, actually. That and also when Vegeta was knocked into the ocean at the end of 11, I was like, sure, this actually might be really exciting going into 12. Okay. But I wouldn't say that like any of those have quite hit the heights. And this is insane to say because I don't have a particularly high opinion of Super, but I think back to those week by week feelings of like, oh, what is happening here during the Goku Black arc, or like, Jesus Christ, what is this matchup in the Tournament of Power? And it's never quite hit those heights, which is really weird to think about. And I think also in terms of the sort of excitement of those plot beats, not just end of episodes, but the actual plot beats themselves. We've obviously had some cool stuff. We've had, obviously there are the amazing parts in episode 8. There have been cool parts, in bits, but like that sheer adrenaline, the dopamine rush of like a sliding Kamehameha, or like the reveal of like an Ultra Instinct. Like obviously Daima is not hugely interested in being that kind of show.
Right.
But at the same time, it has been having moments like that, like the reveal of Super Saiyan 3, like some of the stuff in episode 8. And that's all been really good. But to me, it's never got me like leaping out of my chair, like, oh my God, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And that's been
Except for
a little bit deflating for me. I mean, I guess you guys felt that way. To me, I didn't feel that enthusiasm for 8 in the same way. So
I definitely felt it for 8. Just
my mouth was literally wide open that entire episode, basically.
Yeah, I think it did a good. I think episode 8 did a good job of, fostering excitement leading in, because it was also kind of going to be the first Tamagami fight, so it had some of that extra excitement going into it. But one criticism again that I think AJ and I both share for episode 8 is that even though it's a very good story and great episode and great fight, it sort of fizzles out immediately after, and the story never really recaptured that feeling for me afterwards, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I think it's basically unavoidable fact at this point that. And whether this was the intent from the get-go as like an anniversary show, or if this was kind of like Toriyama's hand at play, it seems unavoidable that Daima is basically a sequel to the Pilaf arc. It is very much a hangout and vibes and character and jokes arc. Yeah. The Pilaf arc is really wholly unique in that matter. Even the 21st Tenkaichi or the Red Ribbon Army or anything that came after really shifted its focus, whereas Pilaf kind of stands alone. And this feels like the first real successor to that, where it's like, it's obviously this is for the 40th anniversary, but it's like, okay, we're not just going back to our roots in that, like, Goku's a kid again. We're going back to our roots in every possible way, which I'm not even saying is necessarily a good or bad thing. I think we can all agree that there's been really good positives to that and some detrimental negatives.
I think Dragon Ball Daima is exactly what you said it was, Tyson, in that it was trying to be something a bit more light, a la the Pilaf saga. But it also does some action intensely as well. While also, for the first time, trying to do something that is akin to a seasonal, ongoing story that doesn't front load anything, that has something, that progresses at a steady pace throughout. Those three things are what it's trying to be at once, and I don't think it achieves any of them wholly. Like last week, AJ wanted more of those sorts of episodes, and there's obviously a massive contingent of Dragon Ball fans that want that too. Additionally, there are more people that want stuff like episode 8. I would consider myself one of those people. That's very fulfilling. It's great stuff, but again, that's a pocket of the story. I wonder if Daima is suffering from trying to do both and achieving neither in the process. I wonder what your take is on that.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, based on what Tyson said, that like it's interesting that it's so Pilaf arc coded while also presenting itself as a direct continuation of the Boo arc on basically every level, Yeah.
Sure.
So that in and of
Except
itself
how people
is
feel.
quite jarring.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird one because, like, to me, Daima is so hard to like put any kind of real rating on until I obviously watch it as a whole, because it's one of those shows where when I'm watching it, I'm having a good time. I'm not like I'm not thinking, oh, why is this not doing this or going this way or whatever. It's one of those shows where I finish it, I've had a good time, I walk away from it, and if I wasn't doing this podcast, if I wasn't doing my videos, I don't think I would think that much about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. And also, even if I didn't have to do this, even if I took a second just think about analytically, what is this doing as a connective story, that I think I would still find bits and pieces wrong with it. Like, it's a very safe, fine, happy little adventure.
I think I disagree with the notion that Daima being both a Pilaf type story as well as being a seasonal anime that does some action stuff. I think I would disagree with the notion that it's caused all of those to fail, because I don't think it has failed at all at being a Pilaf type story in any way, really. I think part of the reason that we might feel that way right now is because of kind of the like uber deflation that we've experienced in the last 2 or 3 weeks, because it's just kind of been 2.5 misses in a row. But like separating myself from that, which I'm obviously on the side of I'm not really a big fan of those episodes. Separating myself from that, I don't think there's any other stretch of episodes or even really single episode in the series so far that I think has failed on that front. I think they've all nailed being genuinely funny and charming and engaging, and I love watching them.
Yeah, I guess I was just kind of like pointing to the fact that like AJ was saying that he felt starved of episodes that were like episode 13.
Well,
and I thought
AJ said that Tamagami 3 was bad, so have we considered...
Well, can we stop with this narrative? I have never said it was bad. You've convinced...
He said it was the best episode, or the worst episode he's ever watched. You can run it back.
You've been gaslighting people so hard that, like, literally last week there were people in the comments who were like, "Oh, this guy likes episode 13, but I hated 8." I'm like, I never said I hated 8. I really loved 8.
What did you give it last week? Like a 7 or a 6.5 or something? I gave
it just shy of an 8. It was really solid. Maybe. I just wished it was slightly longer.
I know if every episode hit like the same vibes of episode 8, doesn't necessarily need to hit the same level of action, but just the same kind of spirit of it, this would be the perfect series for me.
Well, this is funny because I kind of agree with that, because for me, this series would be perfect if it was alternating between 8 and 13 for me, where you're going through all these like cool worlds in episode 13 and like throwing in mini plot lines and stuff that will weave together, and then you get to these big action beats with 8. If it was doing that over and over, I think I would have a great time with it. And it was kind of attempting that, but I didn't think it had that sense of, again, I keep saying it, a sense of wonder. And it's that wonder that I think is missing, that like, I want to know what is next. I want to be excited for what is next.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, like I finished this episode and I wouldn't say that I was like not excited. Like them, you know, running away from a fucking full-fledged army is a really interesting concept that we'll of course get to, but it definitely wasn't, you know, as big as it could have been. Do we want to dive in and talk about the specifics of this episode then and work up?
I think it's that time.
The start of this episode is really funny because the second it began, I pointed at my screen and I went, "Holy fuck, Mark is going to be so happy."
Yep.
The guy in the chair returns. You manifested him.
I manifested him.
Complaining.
What was he used for again?
So he is how Pansy communicates with the castle, the
home base. Yeah.
And she clarifies that a kraken ate her phone, and so she was out of action for a couple episodes. So that's why you didn't see him, I guess.
Okay.
But I mean, he basically exists to facilitate information between the two parties, and that's actually what I found kind of interesting here, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts, because he talks about how the king has gone off to steal a plane to get to the first demon world himself, which makes me wonder. And to be clear, Pansy does say, like, listen, we don't need that. I don't buy that for a second. I think that king is coming. I think everyone is on their way. I think, you know, with the way this episode ends, setting up what looks like a war, we need more combatants for this war.
Well, I mean, like, I think they need more combatants, specifically because the war is against people that, if this episode is anything to go by, has sort of painted a picture that they won't stand a chance against the main crew, which for me, sort of like, why was this made a plot point if they're not going to be a threat? So that was where my head was at. Like, but yeah, I know.
I don't think necessarily they need more players from a like strategic sense. Like, obviously, there's nothing in their way that is going to really, at this point anyway, is going to really stop Goku and co.
I mean, explicitly so, right? Yeah.
Right, but I do think they need more players in a like a narrative intrigue sense where, like, it's obviously going to be this to an extent, but you can't have the entire final act be Goku and co bulldozing through an entire armada, rolling up, taking the final Dragon Ball, and then giving a thumbs up. There needs to be more chess pieces in play. So I think getting him, or maybe even him and our long-awaited sword lady into the play
the
would
girl
be
with
really great.
the gold chest plate or whatever.
Yeah,
and
I think chess pieces is the key word there for sure.
I don't even think he has to play a action. Like, I'm sure he will do some fighting, but I think he has the option to play a more like strategic role in this, where he has some sort of knowledge, or he has his goons with him, or a plane, or something. I think he will be able to bring something to this chess match that will help enrich it from being just them bulldozing.
I do hope so, because if he doesn't offer anything other than an excuse for the gendarmerie or whatever they're called, to just have someone that they can defeat, I would be disappointed.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I hope that they actually are coming to serve some sort of narrative purpose other than just to be bodies to successfully defeat. But yeah, at the moment, there's nothing really for me to be excited about on that front, because at the moment, the only information that we have is that they are in, like, you know, Pansy's father and his kingdom and guards, whatever, are just showing up, and they are not powerful enough to contribute meaningfully. If anything, they'll just get in the way. So that's sort of where we're at with that particular narrative nugget. But yeah,
I mean, I think for me, I look at this, and yeah, like, I'm not like, you know, actively excited, like, oh my god, everyone's coming, but it at least might facilitate that moment that I really want of just like Goku and all of, you know, the third world sort of coming together in a sense. It won't feel as sort of earned as I would have liked it to be, I'm sure, but I do like that as an idea of like, if there's gonna be some big final battle, to be able to cut away to like B, C, and D plots of you know, people you know, going across some kind of battlefield would be really cool. Because I mean, there just seems to be an endless sea of the military police. So yeah, to have like a big arc like that would be a first for Dragon Ball, right? We've not really had like a Naruto style war arc. I don't know if that's, you know, what they're gunning for vibe wise, but that would certainly be cool.
I don't know how to feel about vibe wise, because like, you know, okay, if we're doing like an Infinity War sort of like Endgame sort of stick, like the big final showdowns of each of those films was fucking insanely tense, well built up to. You don't know who's going to win or lose. You know what either side is fighting for. And in this one, I'm like, okay, they're all hoping to get the Dragon Balls, but like, does Goma, like, what's Goma and Degasu's play? What's Arinsu's play? To what end are they getting in the way of what Goku and Co want? And like, you know, we still have, we haven't seen Dende. Is he just like, you know, like it's sort of, again, I'm just kind of left thinking to myself, what are we fighting for again? Oh,
well, so the fight is essentially to, you know, free an oppressed people. But I think that's, again, that's sort of like the crux of my issue with a lot of early Daima of like, I don't think it did enough with that, but also at the same time, like, how do you do enough of that without making it not feel like Dragon Ball?
Yes,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's funny that you mention Infinity War, because my feeling on the vibes of this is what you just said, but backwards. To me, and part of the reason why I'm stoked for future episodes after watching this episode, is this does feel like Infinity War, but
oh, really?
From Thanos' perspective. That, like, Goku and Co feel like Thanos, this like unstoppable force that is raining down upon the third demon world and about to wreck shop. And it's almost like backwards. I'm like, because obviously something is going to happen. There are still 5 episodes left, and there is going to be big action set pieces. So it's just like, to me, the intrigue is the other way around. It's like, how in the hell are the demon crew, like, what are they going to do to survive these insane 8-year-olds?
Well, like, is that an opinion derived from like a meta awareness of how long is left? Because like, if you had been totally in the dark as to how many episodes are left, like, you could be thinking, oh, there might only be 2 episodes left. And if that was the case, how would that color your opinion?
I think that would maybe more apply to when we were in the midpoint. But at this point, to me, and I've seen some other people disagree, but to me, now that they're in the third demon world, it really does kind of feel like end times to me. It feels like we're in the beginning, the third act. Like, the third act will really begin proper next week.
It's technically the first demon world.
Oh yeah, so yeah, our third, their first.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it does really feel like end times for me. So that's really born mostly out of that. It like there, and we'll get to it, but the bit where like they finally crest through the tunnel and come out into the deep reds. There's like a shot where they're just like raining down, and there's obviously we know there's a bunch of like military police like set up shop down below, and I don't know, it just felt like this unstoppable force raining down upon these people, and this war is about to happen. But the intrigue is not so much what are Goku and Co gonna do, it's what the fuck are they gonna do? And that it's interesting to me.
I definitely have some thoughts on that, because Gomar has certainly been a thing. But before we touch on that, I did just want to point out one thing in this scene that I don't know that it made me laugh, but it made me think back to our discussion last week about the plane stuff, where like, Vegeta here is like, your dad is a king and he steals planes, and Pansy shoots back like, hey, we're not made of money, these planes are kind of shit, you know? It's like, God, come on now.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. And I enjoyed that Bulma's reaction or retort is like, you know, hey, you get me some of that stuff we saw last episode, I'll gift you some planes. Like, I thought that was cute. Like, they built up a tiny little like bit of relationship.
Yeah. I do also like the dynamic of, she's like, yeah, you're right, these planes do suck ass. If you give me the stuff, I'll make you some planes that don't suck.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that was good fun. But yeah, I mean, from this, you know, we do move into Gomar and his stupidity, really. He is possibly one of the most useless villains I've ever seen, and I kind of like him for that. Like,
he's on again. He's like Pilaf too.
What I found so funny about this is that, you know, Goku and Co have proven to be so strong for so fucking long now. Like, they bust into the fucking demon world. They kill the fuck out of a load of military police. They beat Tamagami 1. Then they beat Tamagami number 2. Shit's going down. And only at this point does he think, oh, well, I think I should probably go and talk to my really strong fucking military force. Yeah. And I love the gag that he walks in there and they are just casually vibing, eating potato chips and ice cream. And they just like full on caught with their pants down, and Gomar is so upset. I really enjoyed that.
I do enjoy them. I do enjoy those characters, the kind of what the gendarmerie force, whatever they're called. Yeah, they're good. I was worried we were going to be getting a Toriyama project that didn't involve a dance number or pose of some description. True. They finally satisfied that particular metric. So these were the highlight of the episode for me.
Absolutely.
But again, I just have like it's a shame that they're here in this episode, because this episode for me was constantly me asking in the back of my mind, but what will they do? Because they're not strong enough to deal with the main crew, as made evident by the comments about the Tamagamis. Because if they could take down the Tamagamis, they'd have taken them down already. So everyone that's in or at Goma's beck and call can't do anything against Goku and Co. So I don't know to what end they're going to serve. Maybe they'll be the sparring partners for us to cut away to the C plot, which will be the the King Kadan stuff. But if that's the case, again, it's kind of like, okay,
I'm interested to hear just broadly what you guys think about these guys, because I've seen very split opinions. Some people love them, some people are like, oh, it's just the Ginyu Force again. I want to know where you guys fall on that.
Yeah, so this is what I was gonna jump into, because their big intro here is this big fun dance full of fun colors and whatnot, but this might be, unless I'm forgetting something, the most sort of DBS style nostalgic kind of redo that Daima has actually done yet, down to, Gomar literally blushes exactly like Frieza does when the Ginyu Force are doing dumb shit, back in the Frieza arc. It's like, oh, it's this thing again. And so that did kind of put me in two minds of like, why are we doing this again? But at the same time, they are fun.
Again, I should make myself clear. I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was particularly novel.
No.
And that's something that I would say against it.
I do have some slightly more nuanced thoughts, because I think like it is a redo and they are slightly different, but I think where they sort of differ from the Ginyu Force is that they kind of don't seem very evil and almost have like a kind of good nature to them.
They're big chillin',
Which-
dude.
Yeah.
There doesn't really feel like there's a big evil in this series.
No.
I think maybe that could be to blame for why I don't feel particularly motivated or enthused by the.
Well, there wasn't a big
transition
evil
to-
in the Pilaf arc.
Yeah, but I mean, if the Pilaf arc followed the Boo saga, I would be saying the same thing. It's just that it seems like a very stark difference, tonal shift, to transition from one story to the next.
I mean, you could say
which
the
can-
same of Boo from Cell. In fact, people complain about that all the time.
I would probably complain about that too. I thought it was fine in isolation, but just as a continuation, it's a big tone shift. But again, it was kind of supposed to be because it was supposed to
Yeah,
be seen as like a
exactly.
big reset. But it was supposed to be as like a soft reset of the series with Gohan. So you'd be forgiven for that. This isn't that. This is the standalone
Well,
series that is built as a direct continuation of the Boo saga.
You're just making that conclusion because you say so. There's nothing
No,
that
I would.
makes
Oh no,
that
yeah. This
true.
is obviously entirely down to my own personal opinion. That should be obvious because this is what an opinion. Like this is all this entire podcast is an opinion piece. So,
True.
I would say the difference though is that like, yes, it is different between the end of the Cell arc and the start of the Boo arc, but that has the benefit of a major time skip and the fact that it does start different, but it does eventually build up to something that is a lot more akin to the prior arcs, and so it has the benefit of, you know, a full arc that does get back to where it was, whereas this presumably won't.
Yeah.
I personally do not have even a modicum of concern about the tone of this series compared to Boo. Because, like, yeah, sure, chronologically, it happens right after Boo. Yeah, it's a direct follow-up, whatever. That's not the reality that we're living in. This came after Super and Superhero and Broly. It is, like, in the world that we live in, it's after those.
Okay, for example, Superhero. Superhero had a lot of slice of life stuff. It had a lot of cute stuff. It had a lot of character, interactions that were carrying the front half of the film. People like that. I like that. But by the time we got down to the final act, where Gohan touches down and it's very dramatic and all that kind of stuff, and you kind of saw what they were fighting for and what they're up against, and it builds and builds and builds. I'm a critic of Superhero, but when it came to like building up towards like a final act, at least it felt like we were, trying to be dramatic. With this,
Did
it doesn't
it,
really
though?
feel very dramatic. I don't know.
He rolled up to the Red Ribbon Army, and the only two people there were the two Gammas that we
The
both
Gammas.
know at this point are 100% good guys. And
Yep.
the
But there was
threat,
also the threat of Cell.
I mean, not at that point, not really. The threat, quote unquote, was that they'd stolen Pan, and at that point, that only exists because Piccolo faked Pan being in danger, so that
I want to be clear. I'm not talking about the mechanism. Like again, my review of that film is out there. People know my opinions on it. I'm not here to say that Superhero is some perfect film. That's not what I'm saying. There are a lot of questionable decisions made in that, many of which that you pointed out just now. What I am saying is that by the time the final act rolled around, I felt like, okay, there's something coming. And it's not it wasn't nebulous. We knew there was something coming.
Yeah, Cell Max was revealed like very early in the film.
I mean, yeah,
I'm I'm critical of that as a mechanism, by the way. I'm not saying that either is a really good thing, but I'm just saying it felt more like we're really heading into a dramatic big finale with numerous different things that will happen. With this, there's still plenty of opportunity for that to happen, but like you said, the only real thing that's cluing us into something big is going to happen or something more complicated is going to happen is the episode count. And that's sort of a meta
I don't think that's true
observation.
at all.
Okay, well then tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, we already talked about this. I think it's plenty self-evident in the show itself that we are in the end game of the show.
No, but okay, that's obvious. But I'm just saying, why is that interesting? Because I thought you had said that it's interesting because there are so and so many episodes left, which means that it can't be as straightforward as it seems right now. Thus, it gives me the impression.
The episode count has nothing to do with it. I'm just saying we're in the end game, and it's very clear that they are the unstoppable force here, and it's interesting. Right. It will be interesting seeing how this plays out. I don't know. I just completely don't vibe with the notion that I think it's fine that this series is totally different. I really don't give a shit that this comes after Boo.
That's fine. I mean,
I
like,
think
to
it's
each their
good.
own.
It's good.
No, it's totally fine that people can enjoy whatever they want to enjoy. That's the beauty of it. I hope people enjoy it more than I have. But I'm just saying that, like, from a final act standpoint, it's been kind of like, again, I can see your point. Yeah, they're like, it's an interesting dynamic to enter the final act with. I'm just saying that it's not, for me, very conducive to drama or suspense or anything like that.
I don't think it's supposed to.
Right, but I'm just saying that's the problem for me. I don't know what this final act is supposed to make me feel. It's not really making me feel much.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
It's interested. Enjoyment. Happiness.
yeah.
By
I
way
just-
of what?
Laughing.
I don't know.
I don't understand this crazy shift you're having. You've spent the last 12 of the last 14 episodes talking about how great Daima is and how much you love the vibes and really appreciate it all.
And
then now you're like,
little
actually, this show sucks.
Right,
Well,
but
No, but
well, if
that's
you listen-
because we've
if you-
given the show the benefit of the doubt for such a long time, and now we've hit the final act, and it still has completely failed to deliver on any of the promises that we were hoping for. We were hoping that by the time we got to this first world, we would feel like a real genuine threat, and
That's
that we're
your
about to go
that's
up
your
against
problem,
something.
brother.
It's not though. That's just basic storytelling. Like we
one
have
second,
a
and
villain that we're
Tyson-
going to in the first demon world, and what's the threat? Oh, an army that we know we can beat.
Okay,
against
it's the same with the
a
Pilaf arc.
hero-
It's the same with Red Ribbon Army.
Right,
But
but
this
the
is
Red
how-
Ribbon Army arc
this is
you
a
yourself are
Toriyama
critical
story.
of, and the Pilaf arc isn't exactly dramatic. It's not like...
Yeah, of course it's not dramatic. Neither is this.
Yeah, but
and
it's
I'm
not
only critical
interest-
of the Red Ribbon Army arc because it's too long, not because of its
I don't
structure.
think pointing to the two least popular arcs is a great
Yeah.
defense of why this is somehow okay.
But also, like, Tyson, I
What
do
do you-
want
I
to
don't
just
give a shit
emphasize
what's
is that, like,
popular.
to reiterate what... Well, it's popular for a reason. But, like, I do want to reiterate the fact that, like, at the very start of this podcast, I did say that my opinion on this could change. It could be just the fact that I'm feeling the vibes of these episodes and not really getting it. You are right in saying that I was more upbeat about past episodes. Hopefully that comes back. It's just that right now I'm writing a bit of a low note regarding this series for reasons I've just outlined. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're both on the same front there. The last few episodes have really been a low note, I would say. And I do agree that there is a lack of tension going into this final arc. I just don't... Like, I don't... It's
Well, like,
a Toriyama story. I think it's a great Toriyama story.
No, I know, but I need more. I need something. So, like, I like the arcs that I like in Dragon Ball for reasons that are missing in this series so
well,
far.
look, let me pull up a comparison, because I think one of the closest things to this would be something like Sandland, right? Where we outline an issue, right? In that, okay, we're aligning ourselves with all these people who need water, and there's a villain who's hogging all of this water. That villain is never particularly threatening. He's a lot of fun, but like going into that finale, I felt like a genuine excitement, and like there was a real threat here. I think the issue, as like Marcus outlined, is that, you know, there's not really been much here that's kind of made Gomar some kind of threat in a way. I'm not sure what obstacle we're supposed to sort of worry about. Like the obstacle is, of course, getting to the first demon run, but like what now?
I gotta quickly just throw a flag down on the play here, because I have literal receipts that AJ did not think that the stakes were good at the end of Sandland. That was one of his biggest complaints. Was the end of Sandland and not feeling like the stakes were good enough, and that the insect guy came out of nowhere.
No, in the Sandland manga, my issue was that like the bug is kind of thrown in there for Beelzebub to fight just kind of on a whim, and it wasn't all that exciting or whatever. Whereas the anime reframed it to be more of a personal stake and more of a personal tale with regards to Rao. And I think having a character like that that's so tied to the world, that there's such stakes here. The stakes are, you know, if they don't win, then people have no water. There's all civilization stuff going. Like there was so much to it that I felt was riding on the back of that for me made the anime work really well. Whereas I think here going into it, I'm like, well, like there's not a fail state I'm seeing here that is particularly meaningful to me. Like, I feel like we're about to go in there. We're going to have a fight with some army people. We know Hybis has an eye on him. So someone will get the eye, and then Goku will have a big fight, and the series will end. And I'm like, is that enough?
Well, I mean, yeah, this all just comes down to opinion. Really, in so many words, I just think, from my perspective anyways, y'all are just taking it too seriously. It's just it is a chill Toriyama
you're not
romp.
taking it seriously enough. I know, like, I mean, I totally get that, like, everything is for enjoyment's sake. The only contention or difference, I suppose, that we're going to be sharing here is that what we derive enjoyment from is different enough from yours such that you can enjoy it, but we are having a more difficult time. That's all.
I mean, to bring us back on track, other than the Ginyu stuff, we do move across into Goku at the gate, and Goku is a dumb child and pokes the gate with a stick, despite everyone saying, do not poke the gate with a stick.
Hey, it was already on its way down,
and he fucking dies. That was a fun gag, right?
What actually, like, what's the implication here? Like, did Neva, like, revive him? Like, is that what happened?
No, he didn't.
No, he just got zapped.
But last episode, I believe it was Shin who clarifies it, or Nahari, or whatever you want to call it. It says, I think it was Vegeta who was like, why can't we just fucking leave the ship and just fly through the gate? And Shin is like, no, like, people can't fly through the gate. That's not how that works. You have to be in a specific ship thing. And Goku decides to test the gate with his stick and is electrocuted.
To be fair, I probably would too if I was Goku. And I'll tell you why. And it's not stupid. It's not stupid. Everything and the expectations this world has had for Goku have been way too low. So I would be thinking, this is probably too much for them, but not me.
I mean, frankly, that gate is stronger than a Tamagami.
True.
I mean, it must be. Is this around the same time that Neva outlines that he's the creator of it as well?
So the sequence that follows is Neva opening the gates. And I mean, I really love that sequence. I think that was my favorite sequence of the episode. I just thought that had such great scale and mystery, and here's that word again, wonder to it. Yeah. I thought that was wonderfully done. As he opens the gate, he starts doing the chant, which I thought was interesting because it's kind of like presented as like a dragon summoning in the trailer.
Yeah,
it turned out not to be that at all.
Well, it might be both, because it, like, I mean, we did a short about this, but it's not even just that it's presented that way. It's literally in the syntax of a dragon summoning. So it might end up being both, but I was surprised when he started using the chant from the trailer for this.
I would have liked, actually. Do you know, actually, fuck it. I thought it would have been a fucking it's a missed opportunity that the word Piccolo wasn't used.
Oh, for another world?
Another, literally. It's like a door, an opening, whatever you want to call it. Another world is what was used to open the spaceship. Why didn't they fucking use it for that? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think what the sequence did for me, though, is that, like, I've already been really warming to Neva as a character. I mean, I already liked him anyway because his whole, like, shtick was, I'm senile and, you know, a bit goofy. But then I pointed out a couple episodes ago that I was really enjoying the sort of tragedy to his backstory. And now there's something to him beyond what is on the surface. Like, he is insanely powerful. What the fuck is this guy? Like, he even has Piccolo shook. Like, at this point, he has created Tamagamis. He's powered up a Tamagami. He's opened the fucking gate. What else can this guy do?
This guy
he is really
out of everyone in the show so far, and I think ironically so, unintentionally so, he's been the one that I've come to see as the biggest threat.
Yeah,
like he is unapologetically like a segregationist. Like, he's like, okay, you guys stay here, we stay here because World 2 prefers it that way. They preferred it that way so much, you made them leave. How you should feel bad about that kind of thing. That feels like that whole monologue he gave was presented as like, it's not that big a deal. But that sounded like a villain monologue to me.
I don't think it. I think it was more like he's
it is a segregationist monologue. He was
anti-occupationist.
An occupationist. It was the free transfer between different worlds.
It was very specifically pointed out that they kept coming to their world and fucking shit up.
Yeah, look, let me pull
What
up
was the
slide
actual
here.
verbiage? What, I know. No, he denied. I know for a fact he denied World 1 from coming in because they were too snobby. Which, okay, whatever. I forget the exact verbiage he used for World 3, but I don't remember it saying that, like, you know, they came
He
came in.
says that ruffians would come from the third demon world, and that arrogant fools would come from the first demon world, and that this was the reason why the Namekians started to leave. And so he was like, well, this is fucking stressful.
Yeah, ruffians isn't like enough justification to just segregate everybody, especially those in the first in the first demon realm who are like, you know, you're painting everyone with a brush then.
I feel like you're discounting the actual visuals of these flashbacks, which, like, yeah, he states it pretty understated. But what's being shown is that people from the third demon world kept coming in and fucking shit up. And people from the first demon world kept coming in and trying to, like, take over.
Rule.
Yeah, they're very clearly trying to rule them and, like, take over the society. Occupation.
The uniform for the first demon world people could not be more Nazi-esque. Like, it's pretty fucking explicit.
It's very clearly an occupation thing, not a segregation thing.
Then why didn't he say that? Like, I don't know. It's just
because he's just whatever. A vibe. You know, he's just keep it low key. I can certainly diffuse the tension by reading a chat comment I just saw that has genuinely, irreversibly altered my perception of Tyson.
Okay.
Which is that
dear. I'm excited to hear this. Sorry.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I saw it too.
Someone said Tyson reminds me of Krillin's voice actor.
Dude, it's me, Sonny Strait.
And the thing is, like, I don't think you sound like him, but I can definitely, like, hear it.
Feel the quality of it. Yeah.
I don't have a very deep voice, and neither does Sonny Strait. We're both way up in the higher register.
Well, like, to move to the next part of the episode, I think what was so funny to me is we've been talking for most of this episode about how fucking useless Gomar is, and they break through the gate.
Yeah,
they are zooming through. A massive fucking hole has opened in the sky. Everyone senses it, other than Gomar, who is sat there picking his nose.
Picking his nose.
Like, what?
He's setting the scene for the big final battle.
Dude, he's big chilling. He just does not give a shit.
Like, Degasu is like, did you not sense something just now?
Yeah.
No? Anyone? No? Even Arinsu is like, oh, I think the shield might have just gone. Gomar, no awareness
Arinsu's
whatsoever.
just waiting.
This is our big villain, everyone. Just no skills whatsoever.
Yeah.
Arinsu's just waiting.
I mean, slightly before this, though, was probably my favorite part of the episode for a couple of reasons. One is that it seems as though we may well be at the final part of the ships breaking.
Yep, that's it. No more ships.
I would like to see how they could manage to squeeze in another shipwreck into this, considering that everyone is where they need to be. So if they can manage to... Actually, you know what? Fuck it. They can. They absolutely can. On the way back to Earth, they can break another ship.
I was going to say the King Kadon's ship.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely break. That's a foregone conclusion. But like there are definitely, I'd say, at least 2 more shipwrecks. I mean, we have like what, 6 episodes left?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 6.
6. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm saying 2 or 3. I'm going to say 2.5 is the over under.
Yeah. 2.5.
Yeah. 2.5 is the over under for sure. I'm going under on that split personally.
Okay.
Are you going over? Are you going for 3, Mark?
I think, if anything, Dragon Ball Daima has shown that it can surprise me. Sometimes in ways that are fantastic and other times in ways that I wish it wouldn't. And I'm not going to underestimate it, and I'm going to say 4.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to say that no more ships will break. You're
going 0.
Yeah, I think, right, and it only just occurred to me because we were talking about this, but I feel like now that the hole is open in the sky, the king will come in with his squad and we'll get maybe some like cool aerial battles a la Avatar or something, and maybe one of those ships will be what like gets them out in the end, assuming they don't try and like create some kind of tension of like having to leave, but it doesn't really strike me as that kind of show. I feel like with the way Daima has been, they would probably do some kind of like Star Wars episode 6 like party with the Ewoks, but it's them with like the third demon world or something. I could see that being a thing. I think that would be fun.
They also gotta use the they also got to use the different bugs they have, like, at some point.
That's true. Those are still
That is
guns that
true.
are uncheckoved.
I swear to God, if that fusion bug is never used, that will genuinely
How
be the funniest
awesome
thing in
would
all of
that be?
Daima.
Even more than that, the number one thing that I'm hoping for, and I really truly mean this, I'm not saying this because it's funny, I truly mean it. I hope that nothing ever comes of the Tertian Oculus. I hope it really was just a
You
throwaway
just hope
line.
there's no
Nothing would
gosh.
make me happier than that. I think
I
it
would
would
be
so funny.
angry. Some guy mentioned something in the chat there that I was just reading. He said, Actoid and I'm pretty sure it was Glorio who was breaking the ship a few times. He was doing it on purpose to slow down the team to give Arinsu a chance. That's a good observation.
Yeah.
If all of the ship breaking is justified by that in like a flashback when he inevitably reveals he's working with Arinsu, I genuinely don't know how I would feel.
I'd
I
feel a
think
lot
that'd be
better
great.
just purely I'd feel a lot better because it would then at least justify to some degree why Glorio was so quiet for so long during that mid portion. You could at least cut to instances where, you know, other things were happening with other characters and he was actually doing something all along, and, you know, it would actually contribute. I think that's a good explanation personally.
I don't know. I think I would be like, what the fuck? Really? We really did all of the ship crashing for this reveal? I don't know. I think I would be in two minds on it. I don't know how I would feel.
Well, is that worse than there being no explanation? Other than it being just
just random
yeah,
ship
it is-
crashes.
It is better, but I don't know. Like the ship stuff at this point, it's kind of like broken my brain that I don't know that anything can fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all agree that
Although-
the ship's breaking is like a bad part of the show.
There is one scene that I do want to talk about that is technically before this, but I want to save it to last because I have some thoughts on it. So I do want to then jump into what follows this, which is the favorite moment I was speaking of, which is where they talk about how, like, oh, you know, the air is going to be so hot out here, we're going to have to fly or whatever. And like, I love this because Bulma is like the sweetest voice, like so like innocently concerned, like, am I the only one who can't fly?
It's so good.
I thought that was so lovely. And
Yeah.
Hybis
Vegeta.
is just like fucking he can't stand it. It's like, oh, it's hot and you're saying I have to carry you too. And Bulma's like, I wasn't asking you. I would have Vegeta, my husband. And Vegeta in like all his cool suave ways, like, obviously. And oh my god, they are so cute.
Yeah.
I loved it. He picks her
Yeah.
up and they just, oh, it's so adorable.
This
I
must
love when
surely
Vegeta
be
is
the
cute
best
and
Vegeta
caring.
Bulma moment of all.
I laughed at this moment as well with Hybis as well. Like his whole petulance surrounding effort of any kind is very funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was
Okay,
probably
thank
the,
you.
yeah.
That's all I,
I
needed.
think-
I just needed someone to validate the fact that I thought this was incredible.
No,
and
it's
one of my
great.
favorite Daima moments. Good.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
It was great.
It's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
cute.
Vegeta's saying that, like, obviously I'll be the one carrying you, as if he was insulted that there was any doubt in the first place. That's a great,
Yeah.
it is a very
Yeah.
nice Vegeta moment for sure. You are validated.
Good. Because little stuff like that, I love and appreciate because it feels like a post-Buu arc Vegeta, or even just a Buu arc Vegeta. Like, it feels organic, and I like
See,
that.
that's
That makes me
interesting
happy.
you say that because I feel like Vegeta's characterization has been one of the most steadfast in this whole show. I feel like he consistently feels like post-Buu Vegeta to
Oh
me,
yeah,
unlike Super.
no, absolutely. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I 100%.
Oh, okay,
agree.
okay.
Frankly, this is a show that told us Vegeta loves big boobs, and he was incredibly embarrassed about it. So I think
don't know
it
why
What
he'd
more
be
do you
embarrassed
want?
about
sits
that.
on top of everything. It is
What more do you
top
want?
tier.
My guy.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
So to wind this back, right, I will preface this by saying an opinion I had on this episode that I didn't mention at the start because I wanted to save it for this moment, which is that
Oh dear.
this episode really reminded me of an old Z episode in terms of its pacing and structure, in that the heroes are off doing their stuff at the moment, making gains on the A plot, but the cutaways in this show reminded me a hell of a lot of, say, for example, in the Cell arc, Goku's fighting Cell, and it might cut away to Chi-Chi and Roshi doing some random shit at the Kame house.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
is that is really fun, but has almost like no bearing on the story whatsoever. And nothing reminded me more of that than the cutaway to the Go Mart, where we run into Do and Ku. This was a really fun scene, and I know Tyson is a big fan of it.
Yeah,
But
100%.
yeah, it, like,
Best part of this episode.
the way that it cut to that in the midst of them breaking in to the final demon world was like full on, well, okay, right, we're doing a Z like filler cutaway thing. That's a choice. But the scene is also good. So I'm like, what do I feel here?
I think it's doing some fairly heavy lifting, actually.
Okay.
Sneakily. And we don't realize it yet.
Okay, go.
Narratively, not only is it getting them some chocolate, but it is in having them have met this elite force, which I think they will absolutely bump into again at some point. And
sure.
I think perhaps more importantly, it is a chance to give the elite force some characterization beyond just doing like a Ginyu dance.
Yeah.
There was more than that in that scene. There was the bit where they were just chilling, like eating, and then there was the bit afterwards where they're like, no, he's just joking. They're not actually that strong. Like there was more to that, but this scene especially, I think, helps establish what I think makes the like Elite Force work, which is like on an aesthetic level, yeah, they're the Ginyu Force. But I think functionally they are wildly, wildly different, which is why I really appreciate them. Like not only are they just like kind of quite good-natured, but they're just like, I don't know, they're just like chill guys vibing, and they like go to the store in the meantime, and so some kids want some candy. They're like, sure, kids, we'll buy you all the candy in the world, and then realize they're poor, and they're like, all right, well, here's 2 pieces of candy. I don't know. I think this does a lot in character work.
Yeah, they were weirdly good-natured, which I thought was fun. Like they run into these kids, and like holds up the chocolate, and the main guy is like, oh man, these kids can like only afford and be excited by like these 1 bits of chocolate, and they're like, well, you know, us strong guys will help you out, and we're gonna get you everything. And it's well, look at these. Yeah, I thought that was nice.
No, I think I'd align with maybe AJ on this. Like the scene in itself is good. It's fine. It's good character building for those characters, but it just felt like it came at the cost of like setting up again looking for that feeling that I wanted to get. I'm lacking interest in the final segment, and I felt like that cutaway sort of undercut what was supposed to be or could have been a dramatic entrance to this final area that we've been working towards for the last 14 episodes. Like the actual scene is good. I love the characterization. It made me like these characters more. It set up things like I just mentioned with the chocolate. But I felt like it could have been placed anywhere else. It could have been placed earlier in the series.
I maybe sit in between you two. As much as I have compared this to like a Z filler scene or whatever, I didn't find it like pace disrupting massively because I think the way that it was directed after this, I think almost managed to set up like a quiet tension again. Because
the scene following especially.
Yeah, like it doesn't go from this to them like midway on the ship as much as us talking about it in the podcast has made it seem this way. It's like they go from here to Arinsu realizing that that the gate is open, and then like people around her start to realize that it's open, and then it cuts to them in the ship going through the tunnel, and they build some more like tension there. I thought that worked okay. But I do also agree that this being placed here is a little bit strange. And I think in retrospect, I kind of wonder if maybe had they been introduced earlier, maybe some of the earlier instances where they run into the sort of faceless military police maybe could have been a little bit more interesting had we had characters with real personality. That's my only thought. Yeah,
each of them could have been like a leader of a different platoon or something, and they could then unify to create the elite special forces or whatever. That could have been something that could have been an opportunity to characterize them. I feel like that would have been a better solution that would have fixed all the issues that I had with this being here, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's my criticism, is more of like what's there is fine, but what I have in my head is better.
I feel like what you just described is the last 14 episodes of this podcast. Like that's been a lot of the podcast. Is I don't dislike what I've watched, but I can imagine something even better. Which I'm not saying is a bad thing. It's just funny how constant that is the lens through which we're viewing this.
We went into this show thinking, is this going to be like GT2 or something? And I feel like we've gotten to this point where like it's almost the GT meme where we're like, we love all of the ideas here, but man, that execution's not quite where we want it. Like we've done the GT meme. But I do think it's true. I do.
I don't. I think the execution's great.
We know.
Well, yeah. I mean, this episode does at least, end with all guns blazing. Gomar is finally aware that they are here and shit has hit the fan, and he throws a fucking tantrum and he's like, I don't even care how they got here, whatever, full on attack, boom, war, the troops are rallied, Goku and co, final shot of the episode, flying away from a fucking army. As we head into the next episode preview, it really is just full all-out war. We see ships flying in, Pansy's actually using her gun. We've got Goku deflecting, lightning gun stuff with the Nuobo. They're throwing beams out there. It's all going on.
That's probably what's going to happen with the reinforcements. Goku and Vegeta and them are probably preoccupied defending the people that can't defend themselves.
Yeah.
And so they'll be freed up to do stuff once King Kudan arrives to, prevent the precious cargo that is Bulma and Pansy.
Buying time moment.
I didn't notice it until we're just looking at it now, but it's funny that Shin is like cowering.
Yeah.
You're strong.
What's happening? What is he doing?
I don't know.
Just letting Gloria do everything.
He's like,
I think the most interesting part of this next episode preview is the 2-second shot of Dabra, and looks like he's holding a key that has like an eye on it, and it's like, okay, so is the eye coming back and we're getting like a backstory here? What's the the deal with that?
It's the key to the tertian oculus. It's the key to Hybus's chastity belt right now. That's what he's holding.
That is a horrific image that Hybus is wearing a chastity belt for the
belt.
entire show. This is why he's so miserable.
Yeah, he's wearing a belt. And he's got the key to unlock its ability. That's the tertian oculus key or whatever it is. 100%.
I hope
it's got the red eye on it.
It's
got the red eye on it.
Why are you so anti-eyeball? Why?
Well, because it would be so funny if everybody overanalyzed this for nothing. Just on a meta level, it would be funny.
I'm sorry, but like the tertian oculus, it's in the OP. It's around Hybus's waist.
Whoa,
it was made a talking.
We don't know if it's in the OP. In fact, we got a visual in this episode that was pretty close to that visual in the OP, and that was just of the entire demon world.
Yeah, the entire demon world looks like the giant eyeball.
Yeah, there is a shot in this episode where it shows like an overview of the demon world, and like it is quite eye-like. Which is interesting. I should say, I think that the tertian oculus will probably end up being something. It's gotten enough mentions, more than just its first mention, that I think it'll probably pay off. But I'm rooting against it anyways, because it'd be funny.
Just vindictive, like, that will show all those people who dared think about the eye.
Exactly. Shut up, you nerds.
It would be a narrative decision that would say, this is what you get, nerds, for daring to think about this show.
Exactly. I feel that way.
So overall, we must give this episode a numbered rating, since that's what we do now.
6.8.
No way. That's so low. That's crazy.
And that's only again. It's only because of like the vibe that I'm writing now. If it's like if I do ever decide to watch this whole thing again, I might have a different impression of it. But just at this moment in time, wasn't my vibe. It was fine.
I think a 6 is fine. I'd give it a 6.
You'd give it a 6?
Fine. Yeah,
I would give it a solid 7.8.
7.8. That's so high.
No, it's not. Trev, who's drawing for us, is just giving it an 8. So mine isn't even as high as him. I'm not crazy. You're crazy.
We don't listen to Trev.
I do.
The chat's giving it 7s.
I don't care about what you rated it. The only issue, or what the chat rates it, 7 is a perfectly valid rating to give it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like, I felt like the level of pushback and aggression you gave towards our opinions on this it felt like it was more than just a 1-point discrepancy in opinion.
It's a podcast.
Okay.
It's a podcast. I would Yeah, if I, 3 stars on Letterboxd, fine.
I'd give it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. But yeah, I'm right in there. I think it was good.
That's
It
so
was-
high. How can you say 3.5,
Yeah, what the
Jason?
hell?
What the fuck? Come on, man.
Yeah, let's recycle that entire conversation again.
No, yeah. I mean, I thought it was a good episode. I didn't think it was an amazing episode, but I really, really enjoyed the Elite Warriors guys. I enjoyed the like sense of impending doom that Goku and Co give to the first Demon World, and I thought that entire scene in the Quickie Mart was awesome. So it gets a solid. I enjoyed it, which is something that I haven't like. I didn't actively enjoy the last 2 episodes of Daima. Like, my thing with Daima has always been I've always come away smiling. I've enjoyed every episode. And the last 2 before this, I didn't. I was like, well, that was kind of a bummer. So coming back to form was a really great moment for me.
I still think the fact you two didn't like last week is just a real affront to humanity and taste in general. All right, let's move into the Q&A, because I'm sure there are some questions that are going to make us cry.
I look forward to it. So I will kick us off with frequent submitter Jin and Sofa Podcast, who says, with how convoluted and disappointing the original Boo arc in Z was. Sorry, I just had to process that for a second.
Make your way through that, Tyson. It's not an uncommon opinion, okay?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, it's fine. With how convoluted and disappointing the original Boo arc in Z was, do you think it would have been better? It would have been a better story if Daima was used for Boo.
As in to retell the Boo story.
I'm not certain.
What if they might be saying, right? What if for the Boo arc, it involved an adventure to the demon realm? How would that go?
As in, like, just to kind of make Daima a part of the conclusion to the Boo saga.
So kind of like Boo is a threat, and to find the solution to that threat, they maybe have to go to the demon world, and they find a whole new story in there that then eventually leads them back to Earth to deal with the pressing threat of Boo and Babidi and Dobra.
I think that could have been good. I think that.
Yeah, I mean, like, that seems like something that could have been even on the cards if Toriyama was enthusiastic or wanted to continue the story beyond the Boo saga as well. So, like, it seems like it seems like the sort of segue, natural feed into a story that he'd done before. So yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think it would have been down with something like that for sure. That would have been fun.
Vasic Milos says, do you think they will introduce a new hype theme song like Ultra Instinct was for the finale? Presumably like an insert song.
I've been thinking about this for the entire week.
Yep, because of that OST announcement?
No, not even that. I've been thinking about this because of those conversations I've been having about how Daima like needs a big, enthusiastic, exciting moment, right?
The theme song isn't that.
And I feel like it needs a sick insert song during a pivotal moment. It needs it. I want it. I don't know what it would be, but God, do I need it.
I think it could happen solely just because we got the announcement of the Daima soundtrack release, and it has 70 tracks, which is surely the most perplexing thing I've ever heard in my life. This show so far has had
like 14
4 milliseconds of like unique music, which has honestly been genuinely one of the biggest bummers for me in the show so far, actually, is the soundtrack. Not even just in like variety of music, but also the mixing. What is going on? Every single song is mixed so low.
It's very odd. I definitely noticed it the most during the Super Saiyan 3 transformation bit, because I actually really like that track, but it's so in the background that like it doesn't have the big punch that it should have. Like when I think about say for example Ultra Instinct, I know it's an insert song, but the volume and punch that has when it comes on is just like, that is the big strong focal point, and it doesn't feel like Daima's music has really ever had that. It's always just kind of there quietly in the background a little bit.
That's not a new thing either. Dragon Ball historically, and this also kind of just applies to anime, but especially Dragon Ball has historically been a show that mixes music very high. Original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Super, like the music acts as like a juicer. It in some scenes really like does a lot of the heavy lifting. especially in fights where, there's not a lot of dialogue. So it's just like, ah-ta-ta-ta-ta and crazy action and stuff. And so in place of dialogue intrigue, you've got like music that's really driving the scene. And Daima has really been missing that. Everything is just mixed so quiet. It's like background music, which is not necessarily inherently bad, of course, but I think that mixed with the fact that so far I found the soundtrack pretty underwhelming it's just been probably the biggest bummer for me as far as this series goes. Next up, we have Vasic Milos, who says, what do you think Piccolo's role will be, presumably going forward for the rest of the show?
To glaze Neva incessantly.
Yo, but what if Piccolo fuses with Neva and we get
Just assimilates with him.
purple Piccolo?
Oh my god.
Purple.
Yeah, like a grape.
I
Why
don't
would he
know.
be purple?
Just because Neva's got a purple shroud on. That's all I got. Don't ask me.
Okay,
That's the whole thing.
fair.
Why was Piccolo orange?
Because the Dragon Balls are orange.
Oh yeah, Dragon Balls are orange. Did you think about that, AJ, huh? How many, if any, other transformations do we think we're getting from this series?
As in like new transformations?
Yeah.
Or just like
I
people
guess.
transforming?
No, yeah, like transformations.
Well,
that are
we
new.
already kind of got a new transformation for Vegeta.
Yeah, so yeah,
does that
exactly.
But like, I mean, I don't know. It'll depend. Like, it's difficult because for me to make that sort of prediction would be me treating it like a show that it's not, or that I don't think it is. But maybe it is. Maybe it'll just kind of take a violent turn into nothing but action from here now to the end. Which, fine. I don't know. Like, it's Dragon Ball show. It's a new one. I could very easily see there being a new transformation. I could put it this way: if it did happen, I would not be surprised. But do I care? Not particularly.
I mean, in terms of old transformations, like there is no way Goku doesn't go Super Saiyan 3, and there is
Of
like
course.
a Vegeta and Goku Super Saiyan 3 like team up or something. That just feels like a surefire thing. That I think I've even mentioned.
I feel like that could very
wanting
easily not
before.
happen.
Really? That
Yeah,
seems like such an obvious thing to do.
There are plenty of obvious things to do that I thought were obvious that didn't happen.
I guess. Yeah,
You
that's one
guys have
thing. I
become
feel
such
like
haters.
I'm
I'm
not
not
a
hating.
hater, no. I'm just, sad.
I can like the show regardless of what I predict. So it's fine.
I'm trying to think. I feel like if Gomar does get the eye, surely there's like a transformation there that has to happen. Because like, how the fuck is Goku gonna fight a little nugget like that? Like that's that feels like a surefire. If it's not him, then whoever gets the eye, whatever, like that feels like that has to happen. I feel like you don't get a Dragon Ball show now without like a new transformation of sorts.
Yeah,
like,
that's where I'm at.
yeah, because I mean, we had Superhero with Gohan Beast. Super itself had Ultra Instinct, and all the various stuff for other people like fucking Ego and whatnot. I'm sure they will pull out some fucking cracked ass shit for Goku at some point.
Yeah,
Correct.
I went into this series. I don't remember how early it was, but I went into this predicting something playing on GT, because at the time we very much felt like this was new GT. At this point, given how much I said that this actually feels like Pilaf again, maybe it'll be something relating to like the Great Ape form, or just Saiyan heritage in general.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, I
Maybe
can see
both.
that for
I don't
sure.
know. We'll see. But
Yeah.
I do think only just from a meta perspective, like we have never had a Dragon Ball show where Goku doesn't get a new form. I think it's at least likely that something will happen there. The next one is from Dario Flamen, ? I think that's how you pronounce that. Who says, Goku falling into the gate, Kingdom Hearts style. I don't think any of us has played. Wait,
Never played it.
have you played Kingdom Hearts?
I have. It was very Kingdom Hearts style.
I
have not played Kingdom Hearts.
You could easily put was it Simple and Clean? Is that the song? In my defense, I haven't played Kingdom Hearts since the year
In
it
ages.
came out. So that's like 20 years ago or something. Like,
Yeah,
it's
so
been a
you were
while.
like 10.
But yeah.
I'm surprised we went this whole podcast episode without talking about how hilariously long Goku falls.
Oh yeah.
I thought it made sense because the Nyoibo, with it actively extending at speed, it took a little bit. So Goku falling.
But we see how high up he is. He's not fall for 5 minutes straight high.
Like I said, this was a Z episode pacing. He falls for 5 minutes. We cut away to random shit. We just classic Z episode this week.
Didn't like I get what you're saying. That didn't bother me that much.
See, that was the only thing this episode that I was like, what is going on here? This dude has been falling for so long. We've got to. What is happening?
Maybe the gate. Well, actually, no. We saw when the gate was opening, he like kind of had his hair blown up and pushed him away. Maybe it was slowing his fall.
Maybe.
Big brain.
Just pure wind draft from his fucking hair.
Yeah.
I mean, that certainly would be a funny explanation.
Yeah, I was surprised that no one like flew after Goku either to catch him, because I don't think anyone knew that Neva could do what he could do.
Yeah, you guys can
Goku.
fly at faster than like.
Listen. This dumbass motherfucker shoved his Nuobo into the gate despite everyone's warnings.
He was already doing it while he was warning.
And
Idiot.
so Chi
Idiot.
deserved to be a widow.
Idiot.
Yeah,
well,
fuck you,
natural
Goku.
selection
Eat my
aside,
ass.
I thought they were friends, but I guess not.
Yeah. No, the
fuck
only
that
person
nerd.
we know he isn't friends with is Karin.
True.
True.
Didn't become a kitten.
True.
Missed
facts.
opportunity.
The next question is from Hamish Murison. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Who says, Daima is supposed to celebrate Dragon Ball, right? Yet doesn't have Gohan, parentheses weird, and doesn't offer any stakes/tension. Dragon Ball is more than the Pilaf arc, Tyson.
Yeah, Tyson.
I don't think not having
Idiot.
Gohan has anything to do with celebrating. It's a 40th anniversary
be fair,
celebration. It's a
Gohan is
celebration
like-
of the first arc. That is what the 40th anniversary is. Gohan didn't exist for the first 5 years
Well-
that Dragon Ball existed.
Well, neither did Piccolo or Vegeta or I don't know what you're getting at with that point, but it kind of falls apart when you look at the rest of the crew.
I was just
Touche.
addressing the claim that not having Gohan for Dragon Ball for a Dragon
does
Ball
feel
anniversary
weird because he's
is wrong.
Yeah, because he was such a he was such a prominent character across the entire series, more so than the likes of Piccolo and I would even argue Vegeta.
Yeah. I mean, I would have enjoyed Gohan being here. I'm a big Gohan fan, so I'm down with that.
To be clear, especially because our favorite versions of Goku, or at least I think a lot of people's favorite versions of Goku, or of Gohan rather, were him as a kid overcoming giant evils by being a reluctant hero. A return to a circumstance like that for Gohan would just be brilliant. It would be a nostalgic throwback that would be worth the nostalgic throwback, I think. I mean, I'm not super interested in seeing a kid Piccolo or a kid Vegeta, but I would be interested in seeing a kid Vegeta. Less so a kid Goku. But I would be quite interested in seeing a return of a kid Gohan again, because going back to being 6, that's him during the Namek arc. That would be cool, or a little bit afterwards.
The next question is from our good friend Hugo Welty, who says, I find that in this goofier tone series, Vegeta's character almost feels like Donald Duck at times.
Yeah.
Ow.
He also seems extremely quiet.
Oh yeah, he's a quiet boy for sure.
He's got very few lines at all. So
Yeah, just kind of grumpy and sick of everything. It's again big Kingdom Hearts energy.
True.
supposedly.
Yeah, I guess I'm just not enough familiar with Donald Duck to really make an assertion on
Really?
this.
You never see you never saw the cartoons?
No, he was too
Oh,
busy
fair.
watching Thomas the Train.
That's the best part of this podcast right there. That callback was fantastic. Sorry,
That was
go ahead.
good. That was good. For what it's worth, I looked up and there's some merchandise that says Thomas the Train. And I looked
Were
up on
they
Twitter
for
and there's
sale in,
30 million instances of people using the phrase Thomas the Train.
Well, those people are wrong.
Very wrong.
I mean, I suppose I don't disagree. It is objectively wrong. I'm just saying
Yes.
I'm
Thomas the
I'm
Train.
not alone. Whatever, at least I shower.
Oh, that has the same energy as my mom walking in and saying, "Oh, is that the Dragon Ball?" and pointing at Goku.
Oh, dude, my grandma used to, because I watched it when I was younger, and my grandma would walk in and call everyone Gokon. She said, "Is that Gokon?" It would be like Vegeta or something.
Yeah. Jesus.
Good old Gokon. Let's see what's next. One Cool Boy 98 says, Mark, will you ever review the manga version of Superhero? Parentheses, specifically for the manga exclusive book ending.
Well, I would have, but I'm not sure if it was both of you or just AJ, but I was convinced not to because I was told it doesn't have enough content to justify it.
And
It's
I stand
absolutely
by
true.
that.
Yeah, there.
Hey,
is
look,
very
I'm just a
little
messenger.
argument.
That's what was told. It would have happened. It would have happened.
Dude, that's like the perfect thing for like a short. Like what
I don't have an opinion.
What meat would you even analyze there?
I suppose you could have just. I suppose I could have just focused more on how the story was told by way of paneling and all that kind of stuff. I would have found a different angle to talk about it.
I think the other
Just
problem is
copy-paste.
nobody cares. Like, Super
Well,
is all.
that's
Super's
Well,
manga
this
is
person who
already-
asked cares.
No, right. But we're talking about like broad audiences. Like we all know that Super's manga post Tournament of Power is like categorically less popular than the series itself, and especially the section of that less popular manga that's retelling the more popular movie. Like the slice of the pie that's left in that viewership is quite small.
I don't know. I've been surprised before. Dragon Ball is very powerful.
I mean, we had bad viewership even for the Daima videos. That's definitely more popular, I would say, than the manga
I
retelling.
don't think so. Daima is probably the least popular thing I've seen from Dragon Ball in a very long time.
View poison.
I don't think anything I've ever seen any Dragon Ball thing less discussed than the Super manga's retelling of Superhero. Like even diehards just were not watching that. Obviously,
right,
the
but like
fair
that's
weathers
only just.
weren't
But like I mean,
reading it.
like no, I get it. But like I mean, people who have seen the movie would click that video because they might be interested to see what differences there are, kind of thing. Even if they haven't seen it, they might click it just to see what differences there
That's
may
true.
be, or
That's true.
how. Like so like there's plenty of like reasons see people would click that video. But what I'm saying is that people actively do not click anything to do with Daima. So it is interesting in that regard.
That's a
why I
skill
think
issue.
Daima
My
specifically-
Daima shorts rake in the views. I'm just saying.
Shorts are different though. Shorts are like people can like stumble upon them and they like they won't like choose to click on a short 9 times out of 10. You know what I mean?
Good thing we don't have a Daima video coming up this week. Haha.
Yeah, but that Daima video it has like another sort of like quality that will be interesting. So
True.
Hopefully.
Also, people do choose to click on the shorts. They have thumbnails and pop up in Fuel's feeds. More so than
Yeah, they
TikTok.
do. But I'm just saying, I would imagine the lion's share of views from shorts wouldn't be from people clicking the thumbnails. It would just be from scrolling.
Yeah, they don't actually expose any data on that. I will say that clickability absolutely makes a difference because the second I started crafting actual thumbnails for the YouTube shorts, their efficacy
Oh, for
went
sure,
up
yeah.
by like an order of magnitude.
Yeah, I believe it.
But yeah, they don't actually expose any of that data, tragically. Mr. Dongus says, will you
Great
ever
name.
do a review for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Is that just the next arc in the series that you never reviewed or something?
Yeah, part
Yeah.
6, yeah.
Oh, that's part 6.
We were waiting
part
on
7? Is part 7 out yet?
No. We were waiting on the manga
No.
and an anime for the sake of editing, and now both are out and have been out for a while, so... The issue is I would have to edit it, and I don't want to.
Oh, that's
There you
right.
go. So
You
pester
edited
him.
those videos before because
Yep.
our editor is not familiar with that series in the slightest.
No, not familiar, just maybe like active dislike, I believe it was. He
Oh,
refused
I
to
see.
engage with it whatsoever.
And that's kind of based of them, to be honest. The final question / comment / concern is from one cool boy 98 again, who says, oh, they were following up on their previous one. They say, I meant for the Goten / Trunks mini arc and the UI Goku versus Beat Gohan story after it. Yeah, there is a mini arc separate from the
Yeah.
superhero, and then there's a chapter afterwards where Goku and Gohan spar.
Yeah.
Like I said,
I just don't...
I thought there was plenty there for me to make a video about.
But what would you
but
talk
these
about?
guys
It's
just-
Goku. Sorry, it's Gohan and Trunks. Sorry, wow, I can't get any names right. It's Goten and Trunks, like idolizing Mr. Clean and doing like a short thing that kind of like vaguely ties
Yeah, they
into
be Mr. Clean, and then
Superhero?
superhero happens, and then
Yeah, I
they
dunno.
fight afterwards.
Just saying, it would have existed.
Well,
AJ stood in the way.
me. It was mainly Tyson.
Both of you.
It was
I backed
mainly
him up.
AJ. I'm taking all of my support back. It was mainly AJ.
Wow. Okay.
But I do stand by it. So, despite this false accusation, I do stand by the overall idea.
I mean, frankly, I'm down with whatever as long as people watch it.
Well, that's it.
Alright,
That was the last super chat that we got. Was that one?
Thank you again so much for all of your donations. I really do appreciate it. It does help the production of these episodes take place. We have 6 episodes of Dragon Ball Daima left. Will it improve in my view? Will it maintain course of fantasticness for Tyson? And will AJ get what he wants with his... I don't know. What do you want from the show, AJ? I don't even know anymore at this point. You want more hamsters? At any rate, thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
If you enjoyed this and would like to tune in live, be sure to head over to Totally Not Mark's main channel, where we live stream this podcast at 8 p.m. UK time. That's 2 p.m. Central every single week until the end of Daima. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.